Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order at 9:03. The proceedings of this meeting will be recorded and made available on the internet. Can we have the clerk conduct the roll, please?
Mayor Clarkson, are you present?
I am.
Deputy Mayor Windover?
Yes.
Councillor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councillor Franzen?
Yes.
Councillor Lambshead?
Yes.
For staff, Donna Taggart, CAO Treasurer.
Yes.
Director of Emergency Services.
Yes.
Dylan Posh, Director of Recreation and Facilities. I guess it's not here. Ivan Coombs, Director of Public Works, is not coming. John Izinga, Chief Building Official.
Good.
Ann Ruth, Deputy Clerk.
Present.
Chastity Robertson, Deputy Treasurer.
Here.
And Adele Arbor, Temporary Manager of Building and Planning.
Present.
And Jesse Clark, Director of Corporate Services, Clerk is present.
Sorry, Jesse, Dylan is saying he's here.
Oh,
Thank you.
Dylan is here.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to remind council members of the obligation to declare any pecuniary interest they may have now or at any time in the future. We want a motion to approve the agenda and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Windover, Councillor Lanshead, all in favor? That motion has carried. Now, before we start, I want to welcome council here. It's nice to get as many here as we can. Eventually, we'll be all back in the same room together, and it's nice to see people. I want to congratulate staff on the work that they have done on this project. It's time consuming, and it's certainly appreciated by all levels of staff. I want to particularly thank the reason why we're gathering here today, which is to give out some well-deserved donations to different facilities in the community. We are a community of volunteers, and unlike many other communities that surround us, our halls and many of the services that we offer are given to us by volunteers. And when people look at us and say, well, you know what, you've donated this much money, other municipalities don't do it. For the most part, other municipalities pay employees to do what volunteers do in this community. So my hat's off to the volunteers. They're a group of people that for the most part, they work with just with the kindness of their hearts, because they've got a stake in the community. They have no pecuniary interest in it in any way, shape, or form. It's simply a love of what they do, and for, as I say, for their fellow man. So as we go through this process, just think that behind every single one of these, there is a group of people that have dedicated their time to whatever it is that they're bringing forward to us looking for a donation. So I think all of council would say hats off to you all before we start. We now have a presentation from Stephanie McPherson, CEO of Trent Lakes Public Library, to present the 2021 library budget request. Please unmute your audio or share your camera and make your presentation. Good morning, Stephanie. Glad to see you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, Madam Mayor, this is my report for the library budget for 2021. On behalf of my staff, we are very proud of finding new ways to serve the public over this past year. The municipality's budget support has encouraged us to reach out in new ways that are contributing to the mental health as well as the literacy of the community. In the budget, you'll notice the major difference this year is that we need to replace all of the computers in the library. They're all either running on Windows XP or Windows 7, neither of which are supported anymore. We are purchasing all of these computers through the Peterborough County IT, and this is a one-time cost this year. The other major difference in the budget this year is that we cannot rely on fundraising because of COVID-19. Because of the pandemic, we can't open the goodbye room, which usually brings in a fair amount of money every year. But we need to put the safety of our volunteers, the community, and the staff as our priority. We're also trying to limit the use of cash in both branches. So we are forgiving fines and we're not asking for our normal monetary donations, such as being reimbursed for copiers or donations for internet usage. And I have been checking regularly all of the different grants that have become available. And so far the library has not qualified for any, but I will continue to check. We are also asking for small increases in our ebook budget because there's been a much higher demand for the e-resources this year with everybody trying to stay at home. The staffing costs have gone up a little bit just to reflect the annual change in salary increases, and also more money for a little bit of additional PPE and other COVID-related expenses. In order to offset some of these costs, we have reduced our travel expenses. Obviously, we're staying put. I'm not having staff travel between branches to try to limit any potential spread of the disease. Hopefully nobody gets it, but just in case. I've also reduced the membership fees for different associations that we belong to, reduced the office supplies and equipment maintenance. We are still providing library programs, but not nearly as much. So we have reduced those costs too, as well as staff training because we can't attend conferences. So that will save some money as well. Because there is such a significant increase this year because of COVID-19, I am offering this year only that if we have any money left over at the end of the year, that we'll return it to the municipality rather than put it in our own library reserves. That way, if I have overshot or if we are able to save more money, the township will recoup some of that.
Are you complete now? Is that your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Have we got questions from council? Stephanie, do you think the sidewalk is going to benefit? Can you see the children being taken to the library more often once that sidewalk is completed?
I do. As soon as as soon as it's safe to do so, I think that a sidewalk would benefit the library so that people can travel easier from both the community center and the school.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Okay, there you are.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I represent council on the library board, and I just want to make a point of thanking Stephanie for leading her team through the COVID restrictions. It's been an on again, off again kind of situation, and she's had to pivot more than once throughout this. And of course, not having the goodbye room open, we know they contribute up to almost $30,000 a year to help offset the library expenses. So that's been a big hole in their revenue sources. So again, just kudos to Stephanie and her team for managing both the financials as well as the operations and continuing to serve our community through curbside pickup and ebooks and whatever they were able to provide. So thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Carol. One of the new things that we are offering that has been quite successful are take-home craft kits for the kids. So we prepare crafts for them to take home and they can pick them up during curbside pickup. So we are going to continue to do that, and that seems to have been very successful.
Peter has his hand up there.
Okay, there you are. Okay, Peter.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Stephanie, I
I would agree with Councillor Armstrong. I was on the library board. I think you do an excellent job. One thing I disagree with you, I think that whatever monies are left over should go into the reserves from the library.
Okay.
Anyone else comment?
Yeah, just a comment about the ebooks. I think that's great. Increasing that budget's necessary. We're trying to get people to stay at home, so let's give them something to do by staying at home.
Yes. They have gone up fourfold since last year. It's quite significant. We see the increase in numbers.
I'm
Thank you.
sure in favor of this.
Okay.
Yep, I sure am. And want to thank Stephanie for all the hard work she did. And all the staff there.
Thank
Did you
you.
hear that, Stephanie?
Yes, thank you, Ron. I truly enjoy this job. I think this library in this community is the best place to work. I am truly fortunate and count my blessings.
Well, we count hours to have you.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Donna, do we talk about these at the end, or do we say now we want to support this or not?
So I think this one you will support if right now. Is that correct, Jesse? So if council are in support of the library levy, which is $233,381 for 2021.
And who wants to make that motion?
Yeah.
Councillor Armstrong, you want to make the motion?
Thank you. Yeah, I will make the motion to support that. And I know that is already included in the draft budget that we saw in our first budget session. So motion to approve.
Okay, and the seconder would be Councillor Williamson. All in favor? That motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Yep, Stephanie.
Okay, and I should have mentioned, we're keeping our delegations to 5 minutes. The next delegation will be Bill Kent from the Buckhorn Community Center. And Athletic Association, please unmute your audio and share your camera and make your delegation, please.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Yes, Carol.
Sorry, sorry, Madam Mayor. Could we just have Donna introduce this by explaining how we arrive at our total budget for community grants and how much that is for this year?
Certainly, right? Sure. Through the mayor. So the budget policy that's in place, or the grant policy that's in place, speaks to having the amount awarded in the next year being 0.05% of the levy from the previous year. So in this case, for 2021, the amount awarded would be $50,000 for the community associations. We did have some discussions. I did send an email out to council whether the appropriateness of having the community halls kept out of that total and just awarding those amounts, because they are a smaller amount and I believe they can be incorporated in the tax levy. So that's how it's determined. There is an actual policy in place for grants that speaks to the percentage of the previous year's tax levy.
Thank you.
And I want to make a comment. We held fast to this last year, and then we had 2 or 3 people come back and ask for money after the fact to be reconsidered, and we gave that reconsidered. So I think we should just keep that in mind, that the people who are asking, for the most part, we need to give them serious consideration. Okay, do we have Mr. Kent on the line?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Good morning, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, councilors. Thank you for this opportunity to tell you a little bit about the BCC. You've seen our grant application. I'll get right to it and start with the amount on it. We requested $45,000. That number represents basically 2 months of support based on our average daily operating costs. And it does need to be adjusted because in COVID, we've incurred less expenses. Typically, we operate on a $750 a day expense level. And right now with COVID, we're at about $650. So 2 months of support now would be more in the range of $40,000. 1 month would be 20. And so that's what we're doing. We're looking at the calendar year and trying to figure out how we're going to get through it. In addition to the statements we provided, we have, as of January 1st, $194,500 cash in our account. A total that included $60,000 for the Canada Emergency Bank Account, CEBA, $44,800 in Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, and also that amount also included the emergency rent subsidy. So there's a total of $104,800 in that $194,000 amount. And if you take off the $40,000 that is a loan and has to be repaid, that count was actually sitting at $154,500 on January 1st. So to us, that represents about 6 to 8 months, depending on things we can't predict and so forth of costs, right? Any questions about that particular amount? I'll continue. You're probably all aware too that we had a significant donation in December from the Bourne Family Foundation of $60,000 that we used to pay off our solar mortgage. In fact, the paying off the mortgage was tied to the donation, and it was something that the Bourne family wanted to do that was a real tangible outcome for the BCC, which they've supported for quite some time. And we had a mortgage burning party. That saves us $1,115 a month in mortgage payments. So that's great. As well, I'm sure you're aware of our Fuel the BCC campaign with a target of $75,000. That is sitting today at $43,700 that's been raised. And so a portion of that money, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what it was on January 1st, is already counted in that cash balance, but not all of it. But it includes, we have been doing what we can to raise funds. We've had our Giving Tuesdays that raised $15,000 is included in that amount. We did our bargain barns, and we're still doing pickup meals and soups. Our Festival of Trees did go on in December, and those funds are also in there. Okay, so this is we expect to make it into the summer without a problem. Okay. We also are very hopeful that we're going to be able to run another golf tournament, which generated $10,000 last year, and that's even without being able to have a shotgun start or a real banquet. But we expect to do that again in May or June. Aside from that, though, we have no other real sources of funding. There's really not much else we can do. So we're already planning on a new campaign to follow up the Fuel the BCC campaign, which was really designed to get us through the winter. We're brainstorming other ideas like 50-50s. Somebody's even come up with an idea of raffling a car, but I don't think we have the base to support selling the number of tickets required for that. But so essentially, all the support we get, it comes down to asking our supporters for donations.
Okay, Bill,
There's
5 minutes is up.
nothing else.
You want to-
Okay, well, I'm done anyway. You know, of course, that if we were on the verge of bankruptcy and going to close our doors, we'd be back knocking on yours. Thank you.
Do we have questions from council? Deputy Mayor Wendover?
Good report, that's all.
Councilor Langston, any comments?
I'm good. It's very thorough. Thank you very much, Bill.
Yeah.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Bill. I think you did a really good job framing the financial situation you were in. One of the things we were hoping to get as well was on a preliminary basis, what were your revenues and expenses for the year 2020? I know that obviously your financial statements have not been audited, but roughly speaking, can you give us that information?
I don't have it in front of me. I have asked for it from our bookkeeper, our accountant, And I'm sorry, I don't have it for you right now. I asked for it a few days ago and I don't have it.
Is that something you could get to us?
Yeah, it is. It is something I can get. If you want to wait for it, I'll get it as soon as I can.
Councillor Franson. Sorry, Carla, are you finished?
Done.
Councillor Armstrong, are you finished? Okay. Councillor Franson?
Yeah, just a comment and then a question. I really support what the BCC is doing. They certainly are the center of Buckhorn, and they're an important asset to this municipality. One question is, what is the property tax that you pay at municipal level, Bill?
I have a balance sheet in front of me, but I don't believe that is broken down here. It's not in that level of detail. You know, originally these grants were designed to pay back the property tax and the insurance, which we piggybacked on the township for at the time. And that was a framework always used. I don't have those numbers in front of me, Peter, but you know, they're a matter of record.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, are there any more comments? I think we'll hold this until we get further along. Councillor Franson, have you another comment?
No, I was just wondering, in this process, when is it that we approve the request or deny the request or alter the request?
Dawn?
So through you. So the first part of the agenda today will be listening to our three delegations with Stephanie. And then Jesse will be drawing names in the order that council will be considering the grant application. So that will come later, Councillor Frank.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we don't need a motion to receive this, we just, yes.
I don't make a motion to receive it.
Pardon? We don't
You say
need
make a
motions to
motion to
receive
receive?
these, do we?
For you, you could do one motion at the end to receive the presentations from both Phil and John Harvey.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kent. The next
Thank
one now is John Harvey from Firefighters Association. Are you there, John?
Madam Mayor, it's Steve. John is here. He might be having difficulties. Just let me check with him, okay?
Maybe we'll move on with this process and talk to John when he's available. Sound reasonable?
This is the only other delegation request, so we would be moving right into approving the grants.
Hello, it's John Harvey.
Hello, John.
Hi, John.
We're all-
Hi, sorry for that. I still don't know what was wrong with my computer, but I will present my little speech here. Thank you, first of all, Mayor Clarkson, Deputy Mayor Windover, councillors and municipal staff for giving me the opportunity to present or speak to the application submitted by the Firefighters Association of Trent Lakes for 2021. Historically, the association was covered for insurance under the municipal insurance policy. But in recent years, the association has been responsible for providing its own coverage, which it has put in place. And it is hoped that if the grant is approved, we will be able to use any fundraising that we are able to do this year to put back into the community through local charities, food banks, special themed events, or perhaps contributing to specialized equipment to make it easier or safer for us to perform our work in the field. As you will note, that the request that I submitted, or the grant that I submitted, was for $1,400. In the past, it has been $1,000. And the reason for that increase is because my belief is that the premiums will be going up. I've seen it in other policies that I've been made aware of, and my belief is that insurance typically across the board is going in the wrong direction, which is upwards. But should our policy come in at something less than the grant of $1,400, I would commit that the association would refund that back to the municipality. So I can answer or try to answer any questions anyone might have at this point.
I'm looking for hands. I would just like to say, it is so nice to see the different functions that you folks show up at, because you know, the interaction that you have with kids is really something to see. It's not something that you do as a job. You can see that you're enjoying what you're doing. And I was at one function, we had the kids blowing the horn, and we were just lined up. So hats off to you. It's above and beyond what you're required to do. And it's nice to have you guys. We know it's getting more difficult every year for you, so well done.
Thank you.
Who would like to comment? Are these the ones, Donna, that we awarded at the time?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So is anybody else I know everybody's echoing what I'm saying in terms of appreciating you. So is there anybody else has anything to want to add to this, or are we okay to move on? Great. Thank you, Mr. Harvey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Now, we have to do a little bit to go here. We have two late people, Kinmount Agricultural Society and Buckhorn Community Care. And both of them, just with times and everything being the way they are and everything being out of whack, didn't get their applications in time. So I think it's up to us to determine if we will accept them. And Jessie has her hand.
Through you, Mayor Clarkson, if I could just have a motion to receive those two delegations.
Okay. Three, right?
Yeah.
Stephanie's has already received the motion to approve.
Okay. Deputy
Motion
Mayor
received,
Windover
yes.
and Councilor Armstrong. All in favor? So do you want me to do the community care and Kinmount again? They were late getting their applications in, and it's up to us to determine whether or not we will accept them. Do we have a motion? Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept it.
Okay. Do we have a seconder to that motion?
Certainly.
Okay, Councilor Lampset.
Important parts of our community. Yes.
Can we have the vote, please? All in favor? And that is carried. So they're doing the top. Right? Now, other years, we've kind of gone from the top to the bottom, and this year we decided to do a draw to determine who goes first. So I have a little bucket here, and Jesse's going to record it. So the first person we're going to hear from, Firefighters Association. Second one is Buckhorn Community Center. He's end up on the top. We've already done it. Beautiful Buckhorn Foundation is number 3. Community Care Peterborough Buckhorn Office. Number 4. Number 5, Kinmount Agricultural Society. Number 6, Greater Harvey Historical Society. Trent Lakes Outreach Center. Elkhorn District Tourist Association. Trent Lakes Selwyn Seniors. And Kawartha Lake Stewards Association. Now there's a fast person. She's got them all organized. So we're going to get a motion for the Firefighters Association of Trent Lakes. Motion. Yep, we did this.
We're not in the right spot in your agenda. We're at the grant summary, and I believe John is going to introduce the hall requests.
So this gets signed for now. Okay.
So through you. So for council consideration, first will be the 2 hall grants that were applied for. So the first one is the Cavendish Hall. So the Cavendish Hall, there was an email question to the hall regarding the amount that they're requesting, and that was sent to all of council. So they're looking for monies to pay the cleaner as well as to purchase supplies. And they originally had requested $8,450.28, but clarified based on their bank account that their wish would be $4,981.37.
What was that again, Donna? 4,000.
$4,981.37.
Okay. We need motion for each of these.
Yes, please.
Okay, and we're approving or not these figures.
That's correct.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Windover, and do I have a second there? Yes,
Through you, Mayor Clarkson, Deputy Mayor Windover, what was the motion?
250.
to approve the 4,000.
Yeah, with 4,000. I'd say 5,000 or
$981.
something. 4,000.
And seconder, Councilor
With a
Webster,
comment, if I can.
and comment?
This is a very important part of that Cavendish
Yeah.
community, and I think supporting them with a few $1,000s is very important to show that we do appreciate all the volunteer efforts that goes on in
Sure.
that community. Thank them very much.
Thank you.
Well said. Can we have a vote, please? All in favor? And that has carried. Now, Galway Hall Committee, we need to look at theirs, please. Can I skip that, Donna, please?
Right, so the Galway Hall Committee are looking for $2,160. That funding is for their volunteer insurance as well as their monthly internet.
I'll make that motion. Accept that.
So you're making a motion to accept the 2160? Okay, do we have a seconder, please?
I'll second that. You
Okay,
can't see my hand, Janet.
no, I can't.
I know.
There, now
I'll-
now I can.
I'll second that as well. Having lived in that area for a long period of time, that's been an important hall. That's actually the hall that we got married in, so I'm very supportive of that facility.
That's because she's still putting up with you.
Exactly.
So that's, the motion was made by Deputy Mayor Windover, seconded by Councillor Franzen. All in favor? And that is carried. Lakehurst Hall.
So through you, that would be the end of the hall request. We did not receive a request from the Lakers Hall.
Okay,
So now we can move on to the ones that Jesse has drawn for the next person to speak, or not person, decision of council.
so now what we're doing, we've heard the presentations, we're now doing the approval of what they requested.
Right. And those that didn't wish to present as well, all of the applications.
Okay, so is there a motion then to The firefighters association was,
They're requesting $1,400.
do you have a motion? Council Limestad?
I'd like to make the motion to support them with their $1,400 as a grant.
Okay,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilor Windover, Deputy Mayor Windover. All in favor? Carried. Shut that thing off. A second. Okay, that motion has carried. Grant motion for the Buckhorn Community and Athletic Society. The request is
45.
45. Last year they had 25.
That's correct.
Do we have a motion? What do you motion?
Good stuff.
The full 40?
Pardon, dear?
Okay. Last year they had 25.
Yeah.
They're asking for 45.
Yes.
What do you make a motion to? What do you want to
45.
approve?
That they want 45, don't they?
So
Yeah.
do you
Huh?
want to give them the full 45?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need it. They need it. That's all.
They need it.
They need it.
Do I have a seconder?
Okay.
Okay, now, comment.
Carol?
Sorry, is there a
Carol.
second there?
And Carol wants her.
Carol.
No,
Carol
no,
has-
I'm not seconding it.
Oh,
Yours-
you want the
No.
comment?
No.
I'll,
Okay.
I'll
Yes.
second that motion, Janet.
Okay. Now, discussion on the motion.
May I comment?
Councilor Armstrong?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a budget of $50,000 to allocate across all of these requests. I certainly support providing something to the Buckhorn Community Center, but they would use up 80% of our more than 80% of our allowable funds. So I guess we have to vote on the original motion, but I would prefer to defer this particular grant until later, after we see how much money has been allocated to the other organizations. Because if we approve this, we only have $3,600 left for all of the other organizations that have applied for grants.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
I certainly agree with Councillor Armstrong. I think we need to have a look at some of the smaller grants
Okay.
that are totally relied on that money with virtually no other method of getting money. I think we should be looking at some of the smaller ones and then revisit this.
So then can we have a
Sure.
motion to defer this to the end of our discussions? I think we have to vote on the first motion. And then, now, do you want to continue with your motion or do you want to withdraw?
Well, we'll try it if we want to go to.
Okay. So is that okay, Jesse? If Deputy Mayor withdraws?
You might believe so. Let me just double check.
And then a new motion would be to defer to the end of the applications. So if this is legal, then Carol, would you like to make your motion?
Yes, I will make the motion to defer consideration of the BCC request until we've completed all of the other requests.
Okay. Yes.
For you, can we please just hold for a minute while I just figure out if we need to have anything further with the withdrawal of the motion?
I think it's most appropriate to vote on the motion.
So even if you withdraw,
The mover of the motion may request to withdraw it, and on hearing no objections, the motion shall be considered withdrawn without the necessity of the consent from the seconder. So Deputy Mayor
Okay.
Windover would like to withdraw his motion of approving 45,000 to the BCC. As long as there's no objections, we can move forward with a new motion.
Sure.
All right, so the new motion then is by Councillor Armstrong to hold the discussion until the end of the applicants have been heard. And the seconder, I think, was Councillor Lamson.
No,
Councillor Granson? Were you the
no, I'm
second?
fine. No, I'm fine.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Okay, the next one is the Buckhorn, Beautiful Buckhorn Foundation.
So through you, they have requested $3,500. There was an email sent to that group as well, which I shared with council. And I believe the clarification was that they have received money from Selwyn in the past. I don't know if they know that for sure at this stage, whether they will be. But they did receive a little extra in 2020.
We get 1725.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
So they've asked 3,500. Has anybody got something that they'd like to?
Carol has her hand up.
Thanks, Donna. Yes, Carol.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Their expenses for the year are projected to be $3,500. I would suggest that we share in that with the Township of Selwyn. I know Selwyn gives them $900 or $950 every year, but with COVID, they were able to provide more. So I would suggest that I would make a motion that we approve half of their request for $1,750 and expect that Selwyn Township would step up and support the other half.
So then you're suggesting 1,750 as a grant?
Correct.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Franson. Discussion? And all in favor? And that motion has carried. Okay, community care Buckhorn.
So through you, that they have requested $7,000. They received in a grant last year $6,279.72, and then some additional funds of $12,194.49. And the request is for programming and operation.
And the year before they got
6,000.
62. Do we have a suggestion, motion?
It's certainly well ran and certainly a needed thing in our municipality. I would definitely support it.
Okay, we'll have a seconder and then conversation. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you. I'll second that motion. I'll second the motion with a comment. Clearly, to me, this is one of the most important organizations on our list because they support the most vulnerable in our community, and extremely important that we continue to support them, especially since they stepped up so incredibly through the COVID period and will again.
Sure.
Okay, any other comments? Can I call for a vote to support? Seeing hands, that has carried. Mount Agriculture Society.
So they received $2,000 in 2020, and they're asking for $1,000.
Do we have a motion? From Councillor Lamstead and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Windover, conversation. Comments? So it's for the $1,000. And vote to approve. That motion is carried. Greater Harvey Historical Society.
So they're requesting 5,000 and received 4,000 last year.
Do we have a mover and a seconder so we can get a conversation going here? Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Franzen.
No, I was making a motion. Sorry, I was making a motion to support $2,500 with the rationale that when we asked them what the money would be used to support, when I add up all of the things they're asking for, it adds up to $2,500, not 5,000. So I'm open, anybody can correct me on my math, but I came up with $2,500.
Okay, do we have any support?
And I'll second that. I agree with Councillor Armstrong.
Okay, so we've got a mover and a seconder for that. I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor? I believe it carried. Councillor Armstrong?
Nope,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Trent Lakes Outreach Center.
Sorry, I think I have the next one as the Buckhorn District Tourist Association. Am I correct there?
We can move them, doesn't matter. That's
I
okay.
could be incorrect.
Sorry, I have the Trent Lakes Outreach
Oh,
Center
sorry
as
about
well.
that.
Can anyone else verify?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Which one is it?
So they
Outreach
received,
Center.
sorry, Jeff. They received 1,000 in 2020 or are asking for 1,000 again.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve 1,000.
Okay. Councillor Lansdowne, seconder. Councillor Armstrong, are you seconding or conversation? Which
Second.
one? Seconded? Okay. Any conversation? Do we have a motion to approve? That motion has carried. Now, Buckhorn District Tourist Association.
They're requesting 5,000 and received 3,000 last year.
Do we have a motion?
I have a motion and a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to approve $3,000. That's what they got last year.
Do we have a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor Windover? Any other conversation? And we have a vote to approve that. Looking, yes, that is carried. Thank you. Trent Lakes and Selwyn seniors.
Right, so they are requesting $800 and last year received 400.
Okay, can we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve that.
For what, the 400 or
800 more.
800?
Yeah, they're all our seniors. I mean,
Okay, no, I'm
we've
just
done an awful lot
asking.
in this
I just need to know what
municipality
the
for a lot
motion
of
is.
years.
800?
Yeah.
Did they say if they get anything from Selwyn Township?
There was an email request to them. And I do believe and that was more they used this year because they're looking to increase their memberships. So I'm not seeing anything from Selwyn here.
Okay.
In form, it says there's no other grants.
Okay. So do we have a seconder for the $800? Okay, that motion has failed. Do we have another motion? Councillor Franzen,
Motion for $400.
do we have a seconder for the 400? Councillor Armstrong? Yes? Okay,
Yes.
any discussion? Can we have a motion to approve, please? Okay, that motion is carried. Fourth and Lake Stewards Association.
Well, they're requesting 1,000 and received 1,000 last year.
Do we have a motion? Councillor Armstrong.
Yes, a motion to support the $1,000.
Okay. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Lambshead, do we have any discussion? Okay, can we have a motion to approve, please? All in favor? And that is carried. Okay. Community care and human agriculture, we've already done those. All right. We finished?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're down to staff reports. Donna? That you,
Buckhorn Community Center.
Yep. We have to go back to the Buckhorn Community Center now.
oh, okay.
So Jesse, did you keep a running total? I did, but I'm going to make sure I'm right
Here
here.
you, Anna's been keeping track on the screen here. They're at $19,050 has been awarded so far.
So 30,950 would be the balance remaining.
I'd like to make a motion, Janet,
Yes,
or Mayor Clarkson. I'll make a motion that the remainder be given to the Buckhorn Community Center.
I would second that.
Okay, conversation.
We have an amount in there for miscellaneous grants yet.
So through you, yes, that's already, I have 53,000 in the draft budget already, and the 3 is
Yeah.
for the miscellaneous grants.
So there's only 3,000 left in there for miscellaneous?
The miscellaneous grant amount every year is usually 3, so it's in there already in the draft budget. So the 50,000 we're discussing now is only for the groups that Jesse
So
just drew.
if we held the BCC to 25, which is where they've been, then that would leave that miscellaneous at 8,000.
So through you. So if you're directing that the remaining from the 50,000 goes into miscellaneous grants, we could do that, but that would be depending on council support.
I think we have a motion. and a second.
Excuse me, we have a motion on the floor?
No, I was just, this was, I was just clarifying. Okay.
I'd just like to make a comment. That's probably one of the most important or the most important organizations in Buckhorn.
Okay, so we're putting on 30,000.
950.
Well, the remainder of, I think with 30,100 and something.
30,000.
Yeah, that's it.
There. Yeah. And Councilor Lamson, did you second, or did you, Carol,
Yeah.
did you second that?
I seconded it.
Yep.
Okay, Councilor Armstrong. Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not all in favor.
Motion carried. Must be-
So the motion is carried. Okay, now are we doing the treasurer draft budget?
Jesse, you ready for that? Oh, thank you. So there is a report for you, which was prepared based on what was approved by council at the November 16th meeting. This report also provides an update to council on the assessment growth because we do have these numbers now. So the growth for 2020 was 0.79%, which was down from the previous growth, which was 1.14. As a reminder, growth is calculated by comparing the opening assessment balance upon which the 2020 taxes were calculated with the closing assessment balance. So The growth is down because of COVID-19. You will see in the quarterly reporting that is coming to you February 2nd that the permits and the value in permits are up. So that is why our growth is down. So that growth did add an additional $75,397, and that was used in calculating the new levy amount based on what was approved on the November 16th meeting. So you'll see in my report, I have listed for you the amounts that were changed based on that discussions at that meeting. We have added the wayfinding signage project back in. We did hear that project is supposed to go ahead, but we are funding that from reserves because we did raise that money already. So based on those November 16th changes, there's actually a reduction in the tax levy requirement of $61,655.61, which has resulted in a tax levy increase of $80,523.89 or 0.80%. Which equate to a tax rate increase of 0.05%. So that would affect the average single family detached $3.90 from 2020. And just a reminder, this does not include the county and education at this stage. Single family detached on the water of $11.10 and a seasonal dwelling of $7.78. So at this point, there are some requests for council consideration that came out of that last meeting. So we're hoping to go through those requests at this time in order to seek approval for those separate budget requests. So the first one is the branding strategy that Councillor Armstrong has requested in the amount of $20,000. And there is a document there outlining exactly the use of that, or perhaps Councillor Armstrong can speak to that if she wishes.
I will, if that's okay. We received a pretty robust report from the letter M, last year around our communications. And I think it would be important for us to follow through and implement some of the recommendations. There were two that I picked up on that I've suggested be put into our 2021 budget. The first was a marketing or branding strategy that can be used in promoting our municipality and marketing and all of our communications. And I'll just speak to the second one, which is they had also recommended that we put in place a communications coordinator and specialist to implement a number of their items. And while we do have a new economic development officer who's serving some of that, there are a number of things that she really cannot implement. One is coordinating all the communications. Another is the format of our communications, which were suggested to be in a more tiered format, and the use of more graphics, as well as an improved use of social media. So I'm suggesting that we implement those two recommendations, each with a price tag estimated of about $20,000.
Okay, do we have comments? I'd like to comment on the branding. I would like to leave this branding for this year. I think economic development is just getting its feet on the ground. We're going to go through some brainstorming sessions, and I think before we give this job to somebody, we should have a little bit of a sketchy idea as to what we'd like to do ourselves. So I would think it's just a wee bit premature, but I put it out there for comment. Councillor Lysak?
I do agree. I like the branding idea, and I think it's necessary. I just don't think it's going to be necessary in 2021. I think we may have some other things that surprise us for our budget. I mean, this COVID state of emergency still exists. I think that we may end up helping ratepayers rather than try and brand our community.
Any other comment?
I'll agree with that.
So do we need a motion to defer this, or how do we handle this, Jesse?
For you, I would just suggest if council does not want to go through with this, that they would just have a motion to deny the general budget request of $20,000 for branding strategy.
Okay, so do I have a motion for that?
I would make that motion. We defer that decision till 2022.
Councillor Lamsey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Windover, and all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, Carol, do you want to speak to the second one? I think you issued this one as well.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I'll make a motion that we approve $20,000 for support in implementing our communication strategy. I think this will be of particular importance this year because we will be in a COVID situation and our communications to the public will take on even greater importance. So I'd like to suggest that we continue on this so that we can improve our communications to the public as it will be, I think, more important.
Question, Carol, how do you see this? How do you see this playing out? Like I see what you're talking about here, but how do you see it actually taking form?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would build on what letter M said, and that was that if we don't have in-house the skills and the capabilities to do a lot of infographics, a lot of continuous social media information, and a lot of very skilled tiered information communications, then we could contract for some of those services.
Okay, conversation. We've got a motion on the floor.
I'll second that motion, Janet,
Okay,
or Mayor Clarkson.
okay. Other comments? I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor? Okay, that motion is carried. All right. Next one.
So the next request is, there's the Economic Development Advisory Committee request and the Trail Town request as well.
I would like to speak a little bit to the initiatives for the Old Nag Park. And I would put the chair on hold. I would put the viewing platform on hold. I would go ahead with the gazebo. Gateway sign, not sure. And the reason that I would put the other ones on hold is we have an opportunity to bring a cruise boat into Buckhorn where there's going to need to be a dock. Somehow we're going to have to raise funds for a dock. So I'm just not sure that some of these items are more important right now than something that would actually lead to us being able to make some money. They claim that these cruise ships bring about $1 million into our community. Councillor Armstrong?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm actually in support, and I would make a motion to support the EDAC recommendation of $87,000. First, we can do $66,000 of that out of reserves, so it doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. Secondly, it's the result of considerable deliberations and discussion amongst the committee members, and including a walking tour of the town. So I would support in whole the recommendation they have made to council.
Okay, have we any further conversation? So you want, okay, so Carol, do you want to make that,
I did, yes.
motion?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a
Yes, make the
second?
motion to,
Do we have a seconder for that emotion, or do we have discussion?
Really couldn't hear the motion.
Her motion is
I'm sorry.
to, go ahead, Carol.
the motion is to approve the Economic Development Advisory Committee request for $87,000 of improvements, with the understanding through Donna that 66,000 of that can be funded through reserves.
That's correct. Yes.
That'd go a long way toward the playground, wouldn't it? Any other conversations here? Or do we have a seconder?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so we have a seconder.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. So I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor? I think that vote is lost. Yes, that vote is lost. Okay, do we have another motion? Councillor Lamson.
I like most of the recommendations, and it's a lot of money, but I think I would make a motion that we go forward with enough items that can be funded out of reserves and not increase the budget to 87, rather than 66,000 some odd dollars. And that moves forward on most of the items. There'll be a couple that have to be taken out.
And then that would be up to the committee to decide how
Exactly.
to,
Yeah.
how
And
to
then
realign it.
I know there's a lot of work been done on this, but again, I'm nervous of putting an extra $17,000 on taxpayers' shoulders.
I'll second that.
Do we have a, can I have a vote on that motion? All in favor? And that is carried. Yes, Donna?
For you, just to clarify, part of the submission is the $8,000 for the work of the committee, and we do have that in the draft budget already.
Yes.
And they're also requesting the CIP, the 35,000, which is in the draft budget, but also an amount that has not been spent in 2020 of 19,570. So that is a lot in the CIP budget, and I just wanted council to provide some directions on that request. It isn't raising additional monies through taxation. We can bring it from the previous year, but that is an increase in the amount.
So Donna, what happens then if we leave the motion standing the way it is? And then when the committee take a look at that, if they want to use that 19,000 to fill in one of those things that they're taking out, leave that up to them to where they put that money? Is that possible?
Sorry, I don't think I'm understanding.
I probably don't understand myself.
So you're looking to, if there are more applications, then leave the 35,000 in there. If there are more applications to warrant.
No, that 35,000, they own that now, right? That's their money?
It's not.
Like that's been allocated in a previous year that they haven't spent?
No, that's in the draft budget already.
Okay, so you would
So they're looking
already,
to increase that.
okay,
Whereas we would be looking to offset some of that 35,000 with unspent money from the previous year.
that's what I'm getting at. So if you took the 35, and what was left over from the previous year?
19,570.
So that's 55. So that's about what the motion was, wasn't it? 67. Yes, Jessica.
Through you, this is for the community improvement plan, not for the economic development advisory committee initiatives.
Oh, I don't know, I'm confused. Is anybody else confused? Please, somebody.
I think we're on a different item.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we're on
a
this year.
different item.
Yeah.
Through you, the community improvement plan are applications that businesses make to the municipality for funding for building improvements or maintenance or signs, I believe.
Okay, gotcha. But, so then why? So did we deal with the bottom one before we dealt with it? Is that what we did here? Because we've been talking about the Odenang Park.
Yes, we did. We went to the bottom before the top one.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
what's got me confused. Doesn't take much. Okay, so we're just dealing, so we've got the first one straight. We know what we're doing with that, we've passed it and everything else. So now we go back and talk to the other. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I believe the EDAC have conversations if there are applications submitted with Adele for the planning department. So that's why it's in their request.
Yeah, and they have money left to be spent. I
Right.
understand.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have to do anything with that one?
We would have to determine whether you want to increase that budget by adding the 35,000 plus the 19,570 in the hopes you're going to award more CIP grants this year. Sorry.
So what would happen if that 35,000 wasn't put in there now? But if there are proposals, if the proposals then come to council for us to determine whether or not they're valid, or we'll have that money sit there and maybe not have any wants for it? It could be done then on an application by application as opposed to sitting there?
So it is done on an application by application, but there has to be an allotment in the budget to allow that to happen. So if council choose, they could just put the 35,000 in. We could offset it with any unspent funding from 2020. And if we find we have more applications that come in, we can approach council and seek some additional funds for that, because there is a reserve for that money.
So in your view, then, this is a realistic ask.
I would suggest that you go with the 35,000, which has been in there before, and then we can revisit it if we get a lot of applications.
Okay.
Adele is on the line if she has anything further to add to that.
Are you okay with that, Adele?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. I have had a few inquiries about improvements in the Buckhorn area. And as you know, council approved the upgrades at the Cody Inn. And so that hasn't been processed as of yet because they haven't completed the work or submitted their invoices. So that'll be out of the 2020 monies, and I think it's a good idea to leave the 35,000 budgeted for 2021 in case we do have some more applications come forward. I know the Economic Development Committee is going to be very active, and now that we have an Economic Development Officer, I think there'll be more contact with those businesses in Buckhorn.
Adele, I have a question. In order to take advantage of this, you have to be a business. Because there's a business, quasi-business, I don't know whether they're a business or not, but they store boats and whatever. But that place is probably the biggest eyesore going into Buckhorn that we have. Can that money be used for a private home?
Madam Mayor, no, it can't. There are some parameters in the community improvement plan, which is for commercial businesses, but it will allow for improvements to mixed buildings, which are commercial and residential, but not solely for residential purposes. The purpose is to increase the viability of our businesses in Buckhorn, and that's what the community improvement plan does.
Councilor Lamson.
I would like to make a motion to support the $35,000. Because economic development is very important in our community, and I think it should be, it's already included. So it's not going to affect our bottom line. So I would motion to support leaving that in.
Okay, have we got a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Councilor Lamson, Deputy Mayor Windover, and a motion to support. And that has carried. Thank you.
So through you, the next request is for the Trail Town, and they're requesting $21,959.
Now, I'm going to speak briefly to that. Some of what they've asked for, they don't know if they're going to get anything from the RTO8. So if they did, they were going to let the township know right away so that it would come off that ask. So do we have a motion and then discussion? Do I see a hand? Come on, you guys.
Well,
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with you that some of this may be supported through provincial monies that RTO8 has. I'm not sure how we get to determining what is eligible for that funding. And I guess the question is, can we find that out before we have to finalize the budget? And if so, who makes that request of RTO8? And secondly, if we can't get that done in time for the budget, then I would suggest we put in the full amount as a placeholder, but reduce that as necessary based on RTO8 funding. And I guess so the first question, I guess, kind of goes to Donna. Is that something we can find out before we have to finalize the budget?
So through you, we are hoping to bring the final budget to council on the 16th of February in order to stay with our policy and passing the budget in February. I can certainly put that out there. Out of the $21,959, there is $10,166 not spent in 2020. So the actual levy effect would be $11,793. So we can put that out there and ask. If we don't get an answer, we can put that amount in there and as a placeholder as recommended. So that would be a levy effect of the 7,000 or 11,793. And then if that's not required, we're going to put that into a reserve for future use for economic development or something to that effect. So it stays with the purpose of the money.
Does anybody want to make?
Then if it's okay. Yeah, I will make a motion then that we approve the 21,959 in the budget with two caveats. One is that gets reduced if we determine some of it can be funded through RTO8. And the second caveat is that we get a report from the Trail Town Committee at least mid-year in terms of what they are doing with the money and their progress.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councilor Ramsdale, any more conversation? Motion to approve. That is carried. Okay, the next one, Don.
Sorry, if we can just have the agenda. Oh, there it is. Okay. So the next one are requests for, so we've done the community hall budget requests. Sorry, Jesse, I skipped them. Oh, no, these are Dylan's requests. So if Dylan, those are items that were brought to the November 16th meeting. So if Dylan would like to speak to those are in his report. And there was a couple of requests there, if we can get them up on the screen.
Are you there, Dylan?
Hi there. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm here. If we can get that scrolled down a bit there, I believe we went through this this list the last time around there. My recommendation would stay the same, as I believe Treasurer Taggart has made council aware. We did apply for a grant to conduct the re-siding of the Golf Hall. Council approved that application. So that project, you know, assuming we're approved, we would look at that included in the budget. The highlighted items below are the items that staff recommend proceeding with in 2021. If there's any questions, be happy to try to answer them.
Questions?
Sorry, just as a reminder through you, Dylan has a $65,000 building improvement budget already in the draft budget. Council has approved the fire suppression system in Cavendish already with some of that money. So this spending would either be incorporated in that or on top of that 65,000, depending on Dylan's usage of the rest of those funds for 2021.
My understanding from the Galway committee, the people up there, what they're most upset about is the fact that there isn't any kind of a visual structure around the heating units at the end. Never heard anything about totally reciting this. That's not that many years that building was done. And the railings, that was an extensive thing when they came up with the new accessibility with the ramps and everything. That's a fairly new construction.
For you, Dylan can speak to the siding. My understanding that siding is very old. That's already been directed by council, so we don't wish to include those funds in the budget. We've got an application out to the province already to pay for that work. So we're not looking for approval for that today. Simply for the other items. So the 30,000 for the suppression system has already been awarded. There's an amount for a generator, and we can just scroll down a little bit, Anne.
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor. Just a bit of clarification. The railing specified at the top there is for the northern entrance, so not the accessible entrance. It is their the Historical Society entrance. They are requesting a railing for safety there. You know, their concrete steps, they get a little slippery. So we have received a quote for that, and it is, I believe, under that $2,000 amount. So with budget approval, we'll be looking to move that forward. Hall itself has requested more visible signage to kind of showcase the location of the hall, and we had hoped on including that with the re-siding project. The re-siding project staff intend to include the re-siding of the building, not the accessible portion that was done in 2013, as it is in quite new condition and good condition. The other faded white damaged siding would be made to match the accessible entrance. We are looking to include a visual barrier to that rooftop unit on the north end of the building to accommodate their request to conceal that unit, as well as adding the addition of snow breaks and eaves troughs to the building to hopefully assist further with spring water irrigation. Often the basement floods there because no eaves were put on when the roof was last done.
Okay, have we got questions or comments? Or do we vote on this budget?
If I may.
Yes, Carol. Councilor Armstrong?
Thank you. Dylan, it's fine. Dylan, just a question. The Galway Hall Board had their AGM on Monday evening, and they spoke to their requests. The only one they really spoke to was the request to have new kitchen cupboards and cabinets. And I'm not sure that it's imminently, required, but I guess my question is just to ask you, it seems to me they had put forward some specs or recommendations for at least countertops and cabinets, and it looks like you're suggesting we defer that and do a complete kitchen upgrade next year. Can you just speak to that, please? Help me out.
Sure. It would be my recommendation to have kitchen actually redesign in conjunction with the Hall Board rather than do a quick fix. It seems like they wanted to do much more than just countertops and cupboards. So I thought it would be best to have a design put forward for both there and possibly combine it with Cavendish, as its kit is quite dated as well, and do both of them in a future year, possibly 22, 23, giving council time to spread that cost, that larger cost, over a couple of years tax levy.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'm looking for some direction from my council.
We stole the total request because then we're gonna take, we already have 65,000, sorry, for you. We already have 65,000 that's in the budget. Okay.
And 30 was allocated for the suppression system. So really, the recommendations here for the generator and the kitchen work are 2022, I believe.
Yeah.
Through you.
Oh, I think Dylan's looking to do some design type thing. But Dylan, would you like to speak to that?
Through you, Mayor. In terms of the generator, the figure you see before you here, I'm not sure if I'd mentioned the last time around, we did receive a quote back and it is significantly higher, north of 6 figures to be able to have a generator for the entire Galway Hall. So I think additional research is needed there and some additional quotes because that seemed like a astronomical number to me. So I would just deferring that. There is a generator on site that is functioning, that does support the basic needs of the building. So until some further is done, I would recommend deferring that request. And yes, for 2022, it would be my recommendation to, sorry, I'm taking my report. I'm getting a lot of feedback from Councilor Franzen.
Oh,
If council were to do anything this year towards the kitchen renovations, it would be my recommendation to look at having this kitchen design done, drawings done in conjunction with the hall boards so they can get their needs met. And then we have a budget number for construction for 22 and 23.
Okay, so it looks like then anything in the white section here is, we don't have to deal with this now because this is 2022. Okay.
Through you, I believe that's correct for the generator, but Dylan is still looking, the 10,000, Dylan, is for the design work for the kitchens. Is that what you're asking for?
That is the estimated value to do that, but it is not one of the immediately recommended items. The immediately recommended items are in green, highlighted above.
Right. So that would be the 10,000, the 5,000, and the 2,000.
Correct, which I believe can all be accommodated within our $65,000 building improvement budget.
Right.
So I believe any additional funds would be requested there.
We're good to, yeah, it's just basically looking for approval of council to do those initiatives. We have the funding in the budget.
Yes.
So you at the November 16th special budget meeting, council did approve using 17,000 from the 2020 building and land improvement capital budget for the railing, the signage, and the bulletin board projects if possible. So I believe that the green part's been taken care of. It would just be if you're denying or deferring the decision on the white items, which are the generator, the internet, and the kitchen.
I would make that motion that the green is already looked at, so we can postpone the white until 2022.
So defer the balance of the budget. Okay, and seconder to that, looking for a hand here.
Second.
Armstrong? Councilor Armstrong, you're seconding? Motion to approve. Okay, that has passed. Okay, new fleet compact tractor.
So through you, that was a request brought before council at the November meeting. So this is just for council direction, whether they support this purchase, which is approximately $100,000.
Okay,
Just have a question.
okay. Councilor
Can we have a
Lemon.
question first? I'm wondering if we've looked into leasing one of these just to see what best works, because there's some reasonable lease deals you can get, but you only lease it for the summer. I mean, it's just, we don't even know what's going to work properly for that whole department yet.
Dylan, did you want to comment to that one?
Through you, Mayor. Councilor Lamb said, I think that is actually a great suggestion. We do have found a rental contractor as well that does have a similar type model that we're looking towards that actually will rent a trailer with it, which has been the bit of the hiccup all along, is we haven't had a trailer to transport a tractor around. So we essentially would have to rent a piece of equipment and leave it on site, which would be inefficient if you're only using it for a couple hours a day. We have a trailer, we can hit multiple sites in a day or in a week, so to speak, and we're making better use of tax that way. But a lease is definitely something we can do a little bit more digging on. I would say that deferring the purchase and investigating leases and continuing with rental would be probably the best course of action at this time.
Councillor Armstrong, I saw your hand. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. If Councillor Lambshead is prepared to make that motion, I would support leasing that vehicle for the reasons you talked about, as well as in light of the organizational review that we just went through earlier that suggests we not make any decisions about acquisitions until we finalize some of the levels of service standards that the department is required to do.
Okay.
We'll
Now,
make that a motion that we lease the tractor and the trailer for this year. I don't know what the costs are yet, but
now it was also suggested to me by a councillor that maybe it's time to put, if something like this looks like it's going to be needed, to put a certain amount of money away each year so that it doesn't hit all at one time. Is that something, Donna, that we can do?
Certainly, we do that.
Do you want to add that to your motion, Terry, or?
I think we look at the lease first.
Yeah, no, I don't mean
Yeah.
to,
Yeah, I
I
think-
don't mean to sidetrack that. Okay, so we're going to vote on the lease suggestion. All in favor? That has carried. So the next one, go ahead, Donna.
Just wait for, the next one I believe is the truck. Just wait for it to come back up here.
This isn't a replacement of the one that got damaged. This is a different one.
This is a different department. This is,
50,000.
there we go. So yeah, new to fleet truck. So Dylan, do you want to speak to that one again?
Sure. Just remind council, this is in accordance with the MCG report fleet audit that was done a few years back, recommending the removal of the shadow fleet, which is essentially a vehicle that has been bought, paid for, and no longer amortized and budgeted for future replacement. We have one of these vehicles left. Council replaced 2 last year. So this is not a new vehicle. It's not an additional fleet item. It is simply replacing a vehicle that's not being budgeted for on an annual basis. So essentially, if that truck was to fail tomorrow, there is no money to replace it, versus once we bring it back into our asset management plan, we will be budgeting every year. So if there was a catastrophic failure, we have money that has been set aside each year for any repair or replacement of that vehicle. So it's kept at 4, but we're just looking to bring it back into the asset management plan.
Questions or comments or motions? Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would make a motion to support that request for a new tractor. It's in line with the fleet management report that we engaged last year, and it's and that will put it in our asset management plan.
We have a seconder for that. Councillor Franzen. Conversation. Councillor Ramsay.
Yeah, I mean, this is in line with our asset management plan. This is in line with what we got recommended. So this is, I think, a necessary next steps. The shadow fleet must go.
Okay, motion to approve. Okay, that motion is carried. Recreation facilities maintenance technician.
Right, so through you, that was the request to keep the position for 12 months for the labor for that department. And that would have an impact of 27,000 on the tax levy.
Now, Dawn, is that 27 plus, or is that because there's already somebody hired there for 9 months, right?
Right, so that's to keep somebody full-time for the
Yeah,
year.
so that 9 months that they're already being paid, the difference to full-time would come off the 9 months, right? So it wouldn't be a full, if we're already paying for 9 months.
Right, so this would make, this would
Additional
be
3
another
months.
3, yes.
So budget-wise, it wouldn't be a full year because 9 months of that year are already in the budget.
That's correct.
So it would be an additional 3-month period portion of that So that's all. Right. Okay, motion? Anybody? I'm looking for a hand. Councilor Armstrong.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I would make the motion to support that request. Again, it's in line with the organizational review report that we just saw this morning, and it certainly is necessary for our evolving department to be able to fulfill their requirements.
Do we have a seconder to that? Councilor Franzen.
Yeah, with a comment. I think it's also health and safety because if Dylan's working in the office, there have to be two people together in the field.
Okay, any other comments? And if not, we are going to call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, that has carried. And that is the end of my notes. Well, going back to the library, all of the extra money that's in there, so any of that COVID financing could be applied for that, or have you already done that?
So through you, there will be an entry done at the end of the year to credit any monies they have spent on COVID. We will use some of the Safe Restart funding for that. So once I have that balance, there will be some revenue put over there to offset those costs.
Now, in the rest of these that we've gone through, do you see any of those that sort of jump out at you? Because I think you said there's an additional $80,000 have been awarded.
So we have received an additional 84,000. We do have some money from 2020 left. I don't have that final balance. That was one thing that I would draw your attention to. I did include that in the report, what had been spent to up to the 21st of December, but there will be more spending out of that money. So there is a requirement under that funding that any unspent monies from 2020 has to go into a reserve to be used for the next year. So we will have the balance of that plus the 84,000. So to date, I have budgeted anything in each department related to COVID. I've offset with that funding, but the rest I would suggest we keep there because things are changing rapidly. That is what this listing is, what we have spent to date, but we don't know how long the pandemic will be and what will happen in 2021. So it's nice to have that funding there because it has to be used for purposes related to COVID. So I anticipate
all of Dylan's cleaning that he has to do, the extras and the porta potties and all the rest of this, all of those charges could be put toward this because they're a lot more extensive.
Yes, so through to date that you'll see in the listing, that's what we've used it for. So PPE, cleaning supplies, depot cleaning, which is something we didn't do before that we implemented. The Lexan, we've used approximately $39,000 of that funding towards that. So we will continue to make sure anything related to COVID comes out of that funding.
Good. Okay. We'll go past that part. I guess we're down to the adoption of the confirming bylaw. Or is there any more? Have you any more business to speak to, or you, Jesse, or any council member?
Through you. There are a couple, we will bring a report back in February. Dylan has a couple of operating things that he has identified that will have to go increase his budget slightly, but we'll bring that back February 2nd. And then from there, if council are okay with it, we will look to adopt the budget on the 16th, but I will provide on the 2nd all of the result of the changes today and what that looks like on the levy.
All right, so can we have a motion for the adoption of the confirming bylaw? Councilor Lambshead, Deputy Mayor Windover, all in favor? Carried. And then a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor Windover. Looking for a hand in here. That's, there you are, Councilor Franzen. All in favor? Thank you, folks. Well done.
Okay.
Thank you, Donna. I know that's been, it's always a moment.